The container matters more than the medicine. Demystifying Plant Medicine, Part 3. People don't come to me because they want to take mushrooms. They come because something in their life has reached a threshold, a relationship that has ended or needs to, a grief that won't move no matter how many times they talk about it, an identity that no longer fits, a version of themselves they've outgrown but haven't yet shed. A knowing, quiet, persistent, impossible to argue with, that something needs to change and they don't know how to let it. Some come because they feel something larger than themselves moving in their lives and they want to meet it more consciously, to live in greater connection with it, to move through their days with more ease and less resistance. Some come because they feel a pull toward the experience itself, an intuitive knowing arriving before the rational mind has caught up that this is something they are meant to do. They come because they are in transition and they are looking for a container sturdy enough to hold what's coming. In part 1 of this series, I wrote about the journey that removed fear from my body, the river of consciousness that has always been running beneath the noise, finally audible. In part 2, I wrote about the journeys that cost me something, the one that showed me an ending before I was ready to see it, and the one that placed a commission in me that I didn't choose and couldn't control. Both taught me, in different ways, what it means to be held in the journey space, and what is possible when the container is right. This essay is about what I actually do, not the medicine itself, but everything around it. The preparation that opens the door, the presence that holds the space, the integration that determines whether the journey becomes transformation or just a story you tell. The medicine is a tool, a powerful one. I would not work with it if I didn't believe that completely. But the tool is only as useful as the hands holding it and the space surrounding it. I have seen profound, life-altering journeys happen with very little medicine at all. And I've seen high doses produce nothing but noise because the container wasn't right, the intention wasn't clear, or the person wasn't ready to be honest with themselves. Before, the most important work happens here. When someone comes to me wanting to journey, the first thing I do is slow down. Not because I'm being cautious in a clinical sense, because in my experience, what a person says they want to work on and what the medicine will actually address are often two different things. And the gap between those two is where the real preparation lives. We talk at length. I want to know not just what they're carrying, but how they're carrying it. Whether they've done any therapeutic or somatic work. What their relationship is to their own body, whether they can feel it, whether they trust it, whether they've spent years overriding it. What their nervous system does under pressure, whether they have people in their lives who can hold them in the days after. I ask about fear, not to assess risk, though that matters too, but because how someone relates to their own fear tells me almost everything I need to know about how they'll move through the journey. Fear is not a contraindication. Fear that has never been questioned is. We talk about intention. That is not the same as a goal. A goal is something you achieve. An intention is something you orient toward, a quality of presence, a question you're willing to sit inside, a part of yourself you're willing to finally look at directly. The intention doesn't control what happens in the journey, but it sets a direction, the way a compass doesn't determine the terrain, but keeps you oriented within it. And we talk about surrender, because no amount of preparation will give you control over what the medicine shows you. What preparation gives you is the capacity to stay with it, to breathe through the contraction instead of fighting it, to let the wave move through rather than bracing against it. The work before the journey is the work of building that capacity, of practicing in ordinary states the same quality of presence the medicine will ask of you in an altered one. During, holding the thread. On the day of the journey, my role shifts. I'm no longer a guide in the conversational sense. I become something closer to what Ariadne was to Theseus in the labyrinth. Not the one walking the passages, but the one holding the thread, present at the entrance, steady at the other end, available without intruding. This is a distinction I feel strongly about. It is not my journey, it is theirs. My presence is not passive. I am paying close attention to everything: breath, body, sound, energy, the quality of the silence in the room. I'm tracking the journey the way you track weather, not to control it, but to know when something needs tending. A hand on the back, a glass of water, a quiet word that reminds someone where they are and that they are safe. Sometimes nothing at all, just the simple fact of another human body in the room, regulated and grounded, holding the space open. What I do not do is interpret. I do not tell someone what their visions mean or what the medicine is trying to show them. I do not redirect the journey or try to move someone toward a particular experience. I trust that the medicine knows what it's doing. My job is to ensure the container holds while it does its work. On the question of set and setting, the mindset brought to the journey and the physical environment surrounding it, I want to be clear about something. The setting is not mine to dictate, it is theirs. The most important thing is that the person journeying feels safe, genuinely, somatically safe, not just intellectually reassured, but settled in their body in a way that allows them to surrender. For some people, that is their own home in their own bed, surrounded by their own things. For others, it's somewhere neutral, somewhere that carries no emotional weight or daily associations. For others still, it requires nature or candlelight or a particular kind of music or silence. I work with whatever creates that safety, because without it, the rest doesn't matter. Music is chosen carefully, not as background, but as a kind of sonic container, something that can hold emotion and move it without words. There's water, there are blankets, there's nothing in the environment that will create friction or demand navigation. And there's no agenda, no timeline, no moment at which I need the journey to be over. That last one matters more than people realize. After, where transformation actually lives. The journey ends, the medicine metabolizes, the person returns to ordinary consciousness. And then the real work begins. Integration is the process of weaving what happened in the journey into the fabric of waking life. It's not automatic, it is not always comfortable, and it cannot be rushed. I've had journeys whose meaning I didn't fully understand for a year, whose gifts I couldn't receive until I had lived my way into them. The Thanksgiving journey I wrote about in part 2, the one where I watched my partner being taken by the spirits, took months of living to make sense of. The womb light journey is still unfolding in me years later, its commission still revealing itself in new forms. This is normal. This is, in fact, the point. The medicine plants seeds. Integration is the tending of those seeds, the watering, the patience, the willingness to stay in relationship with what was shown even when you don't yet understand it. Without integration, even the most profound journey can become just an interesting experience that doesn't change anything. With it, a single night can reorient the entire direction of a life. In the days and weeks after a journey, I stay close. We talk about what arose, not to analyze it to death, but to give it language, to help it become something the person can hold consciously rather than just feel in their body. We talk about what has shifted in perception, in the nervous system, in the quality of ordinary moments. We talk about what the journey is asking of them now in the practical texture of their days. Sometimes integration is quiet, a new softness in how someone moves through the world, a boundary they finally feel clear about. A grief they can now let themselves feel fully instead of managing from a distance. Sometimes it's more active, a relationship that needs addressing, a creative project that demands to be born, a version of themselves they are being asked to step into before they feel ready. In all cases, my role is the same as it was during the journey, to hold the thread, to remain present at the other end while they find their way through. What I am not. I want to be clear about something because clarity here matters. I am not a therapist, I'm not a shaman, I'm not a medical professional or a clinical guide. I am a transition doula who works with plant medicine as one of several tools for supporting people through profound personal passages. My training is in the body, in presence, in the wisdom of transition, and what it means to accompany someone through an ending and hold space for what comes next. I work with people who are fundamentally well and fundamentally ready, people who are in transition, not in crisis, people who've done enough inner work to know themselves reasonably well and are ready to go deeper. People who have support structures in their lives and are not looking to the medicine to be their only resource. If someone comes to me in acute mental health crisis, I refer them to appropriate care. If someone's intention is to escape rather than to meet themselves, I say so directly. The medicine is not an escape hatch. It's an intensifier. It will amplify what is already present, which means the ground needs to be stable enough to hold what gets amplified. This discernment, knowing who is ready and who needs something else first, is part of the work, and it is one of the reasons that who holds the space matters as much as what medicine is present. Why this work? I'm sometimes asked why I do this, why of all the ways I could support people in transition, I choose to include this particular one. The honest answer is that the medicine chose me before I chose it. Every journey I've described in this series, the one that removed fear from my body, the one that showed me my partner leaving, the one that placed a light in my womb, each of these experiences prepared me for this work in a way nothing else could have. I've been the person on the mat. I've been inside the labyrinth. I know what it feels like to be in a strange and altered place and to need someone steady at the other end of the thread. That knowing is what I bring into the room, not a protocol, not a technique, a lived understanding of what the journey asks and what it means to be held while it asks it. The journey is one night. The transition is the rest of your life. I am here for both. This essay calls on Ariadne, the Greek princess who gave Theseus the golden thread that allowed him to navigate the labyrinth and return. Ariadne did not enter the labyrinth herself. She stood at the threshold, holding one end of the thread steady, trusting that what she had given was enough. She is the original holder of the container, the one who makes the descent possible not by descending herself, but by remaining. Ariadne knows both sides of the threshold. She has walked her own passages of loss and transformation, and she has emerged not diminished but deepened. She understands that holding space for another's transformation requires having survived your own. She is the thread and the one who holds it. Working with me. If you're feeling called to work with plant medicine and want experienced intentional support in preparation, facilitation, or integration, I would love to connect. You can find me and learn more about working together at www.goddessintraining.online. If this writing landed somewhere real, subscribe, like, share. New essays and podcast episodes arrive in your inbox as they emerge, honest and in real time. Thank you for being here.